What really happened to Michael Jackson? Michael Jackson wasn't just a pop star. He was a global phenomenon. A name that defined music, dance, and fame in a way no one else ever did. But behind the unmatched success, there was a life marked by pressure, isolation, and controversy. Michael Joseph Jackson was born in 1958 in Gary, Indiana. He grew up in a modest home, as one of 9 children in a working-class family. Music was always present, but so was discipline. His father, Joe Jackson, recognized the talent in his children early on and pushed them relentlessly. Rehearsals were strict, mistakes were not tolerated, and at the center of it all was Michael. Even as a child, he stood out. His voice, his rhythm, his charisma, it was clear he was different. He became the lead singer of the Jackson 5, and together they signed with Motown. Success came fast. Songs like I Want You Back and ABC turned them into sensations. They toured across the United States, performing in front of screaming crowds. But while the world saw joy, Michael was growing up under intense pressure. There was little time for a normal childhood. No ordinary school life, no freedom, just rehearsals, recordings, and performances. As the years passed, Michael began to evolve. He wanted more than being part of a group. He wanted to define himself.
As Michael Jackson's career evolved, each album became more than just music. It became a statement of where he was in life. In 1972, at just 13 years old, Michael released the album Got to Be There. It was his first solo step outside the group, and already there were signs of something special. The title track became a hit, but it was clear. This wasn't just a side project. It was the beginning of an individual identity.
Ain't no sunshine when she's gone.
Later that same year came Ben, a softer, more emotional record.
If you ever look behind and
But one song stood above everything else. Ben reached #1 on the Billboard Hot 100, a rare achievement for someone so young, and proof that Michael could connect deeply with audiences even beyond the energy of the Jackson 5. In 1973, the album Music and Me followed, but this time the commercial response was more modest. And behind the scenes, there was a growing feeling that Motown was limiting his artistic growth. Michael was evolving, but the system around him wasn't keeping up.
all our songs rhyme, now music.
In 1975, Michael Jackson released Forever Michael, his 4th and final studio album with Motown. Unlike his earlier releases, the album was not commercially successful, peaking at just number 101 on the Billboard 200. The lead single, One Day in Your Life, achieved only modest success in the United States, reflecting the album's overall limited impact at the time.
One day in your life, you'll remember.
Everything changed years later. In 1979, Michael released Off the Wall. Produced by Quincy Jones, the album was a turning point. It blended pop, funk, and disco in a way that felt fresh and sophisticated. Songs like Don't Stop Till You Get Enough and Rock With You dominated the charts. For the first time, Michael wasn't just successful. He was respected as a serious solo artist, but even that success wasn't enough for him. Michael's next adventure was the song Someone in the Dark. The song was recorded in June 1982 for the E.T. the Extraterrestrial movie storybook album, which Jackson also narrated. The song's release was limited by a legal dispute between Jackson's label, Epic Records, and the soundtrack's label, MCA Records. Epic feared it would compete with the upcoming release of the Thriller album. The album was quickly withdrawn from shelves, and original promo copies of Someone in the Dark became extremely rare and were highly valuable collector's items. While rare for years, the opening version of the song was eventually included as a bonus track on the 2001 special edition of Thriller and the Michael Jackson The Ultimate Collection box set.
Someone in the dark for me.
In 1982, Thriller arrived and redefined what success even meant. It became the best-selling album in history. 7 singles reached the top 10, music videos turned into cultural events. Billie Jean, Beat It, and Thriller weren't just songs, they were global phenomena. And yet, despite all the records broken, Michael still felt underestimated by parts of the industry. That desire to prove himself continued with Bad in 1987. This time, Michael took even more creative control. The result was another massive success, with 5 #1 singles on the Billboard Hot 100, a record that still stands. But the pressure to match Thriller was enormous, and the comparisons never stopped.
His performances were electrifying. The moonwalk, the precision, the energy. He didn't just perform music. He created moments.
In 1991, Dangerous marked another shift. Michael embraced a more modern, edgy sound, New Jack Swing. The album produced hits like Black or White and Remember the Time. But this era also brought increased media scrutiny. His personal life was becoming as talked about as his music.
He toured the world, performing in the United States, the United Kingdom, Japan, Germany, Brazil, and countless other countries. Everywhere he went, crowds followed. Fans fainted, stadiums filled. He was no longer just an artist. He was a global icon. But with that level of fame came something else. Isolation. Michael's life became increasingly private. He built Neverland Ranch, a place designed to recreate the childhood he never had. A place of fantasy, escape, and innocence. But to the outside world, it raised questions. At the same time, his appearance began to change. His skin, his face, his image. Speculation grew. The media followed every detail, every rumor, every transformation. And then came the allegations. In 1993, Michael Jackson faced accusations of inappropriate behavior involving a minor. It shocked the world. The media coverage was relentless. Michael denied the accusations. The case was eventually settled out of court, but the damage had been done. His image, once untouchable, was now under scrutiny. Years later, in 2005, he faced another trial. Once again, the world watched closely. And once again, Michael Jackson was found not guilty. But the public perception had changed. For some, he remained a genius. For others, a deeply controversial figure. And for Michael, the pressure never stopped. His later years were marked by financial issues, legal battles, and declining health. The man who once stood at the top of the world now seemed increasingly fragile.
By 1995, history, past, present, and future, half greatest hits, half new material, it was both a celebration and a response. Songs like Scream, a duet with Janet Jackson, directly addressed the media pressure he was facing. It was clear Michael was no longer just creating music, he was responding to the world around him. And then came Invincible in 2001, an album surrounded by high expectations and internal conflict. Despite strong sales, it didn't dominate the charts the way his earlier work had. There were disputes with his record label, promotion was limited, and for many it felt like the industry had begun to turn its back on him. Still, even in that moment, the artistry remained. Because Michael Jackson never stopped being an artist, each album told a story, not just of music, but of transformation, from a child star to a global icon, to a man navigating fame, pressure, and controversy, and through it all, the music never truly disappeared.
Still, in 2009, there was one more plan. A comeback. This Is It. A series of concerts in London that promised to bring Michael Jackson back to the stage. Fans were ready. The world was watching, but the comeback never happened.
This is it. Here I stand. I'm the lost.
That's all for love.
On June 25th, 2009, Michael Jackson died at the age of 50. The cause was acute propofol intoxication, administered by his personal physician. The news spread instantly. Shock, grief, disbelief. The king of pop was gone.
Update you now on tonight's breaking news. Multiple media outlets are now reporting that pop singer Michael Jackson has died. Jackson was not breathing when paramedics arrived at his home after a 911 call. We are watching for any new developments on this breaking news. We will bring them to you as soon as we learn them.
Tonight, the shocking news from Los Angeles. Michael Jackson, the king of pop, is dead at the age of 50.
From NBC News World Headquarters in New York, this is NBC Nightly News with Brian Wood.
Really? Tonight came the word from L.A. Michael Jackson, the king of pop, as he was called, has died. He was 50 years.
Millions mourned around the world because Michael Jackson was never just a performer, he was a symbol of talent, of ambition, of the cost of fame. His legacy remains complex, but one thing is undeniable. Michael Jackson changed music forever, and no matter how his story is told, the impact of his voice, his movement, and his vision will never fade.